Chapter 3. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Proverbs 14:23. 10 p.m. and I can't sleep. In fact, I'm having problems just trying to stay on my bunk inside Captain Cousteau's cabin on the Alcyon. The Winship is running on a breach to a robust ocean swell. We're getting tossed about roughly. Earlier in the day, Rocky, our shark scientist, implanted a small radio transmitter just below the dorsal fin of an 18-foot-long great white shark named Jennifer. All the tagged sharks are identified with a number, but the crew enjoys giving them names, usually of people we know and like. We try to match the shark's personality with the traits of our friends. The real Jennifer works at the Los Angeles office of the Cousteau Society. Jennifer is real easy to get along with and is well liked, except when she gets cranky. Then everyone better stay out of her way. At the stern of the Alcyon, Jennifer is being pretty laid back for a shark. That is, until Rocky inserts the transmitter. The small device is applied with an 8-foot long pole spear. Tiny twin spear points are inserted just beneath the shark's skin, anchoring the transmitter to the side of Jennifer. Considering that Jennifer weighs about 3,000 pounds, the tiny anchors probably shouldn't bother her very much. No one anticipates that Jennifer will go absolutely ballistic. She's instantly cranky, lunging out of the water with her jaws clashing together repeatedly. Then Jennifer tries to take several bites out of the Alcyon's metal hull before swimming off in a huff with our small tracking boat following in her wake. The tracking boat is 15 feet long, is a 15-foot long metal boat. It isn't much larger than a small skiff, and it is an impressive 3 feet shorter than the huge predator it is following. A fact that is of no small concern to those of us in the little metal boat. Earlier in the morning, I had seen Jennifer chewing on the metal boat's propeller. The outboard was raised so the shark had to lunge a couple of feet out of the water to get at the sharp blades. One would imagine that one bite at a sharp, three-pronged piece of metal might convince an animal that this isn't a very good idea. But Jennifer spent several long seconds chomping repeatedly on those propeller blades. I wasn't sure if she was flossing between her teeth or just sharpening them in anticipation of a shot at opening up the thin metal hull of our little boat. Great white sharks have been known to bite even spinning propellers repeatedly, so I'm a bit nervous as I increase the outboard's throttle. The nose of the little boat comes up on plane, and I'm off on another adventure. For the next 3 hours, we track this shark as she circles dangerous reef, probably in search of a stray fur seal lunch. Jennifer circuits the reef twice, then heads straight out to sea. There are three of us in the boat. Rocky, the shark scientist, is recording the data, while Capkin mans the underwater receiver. In order for the electric tracker to pick up the transmitter signal on the shark, we need to come to a complete stop so Capkin can lower the receiver's sensor head into the water. Through headphones, he listens to the signal, which tells us not only the direction and distance to the shark, but also its depth. Other than considering that we are in the wake of an enormous shark, the day passes uneventfully. Our 3 hour watch ends with the arrival of the relief team in a rubber Zodiac. Rocky doesn't want Alcyon to approach too closely to tag shark, fearing that the Windship's presence might adversely influence the shark's normal activity. Not that anyone knows what is normal for a great white shark. So we are trying to study shark behavior as unobtrusively as possible. As the Zodiac lays alongside our metal boat, it is a little disconcerting leaving the dubious protection of its metal sides for an even smaller rubber boat with no protection but its speed. I waste no time engaging the engine and racing in the opposite direction of Jennifer. Back on the Alcyon, we finish off the day's chores, eat dinner, then everyone heads for their bunks in anticipation of their next watch. However, whenever Captain Cousteau or Jean Michel Cousteau aren't on board, I get to use their cabin, which is a real treat. For several hours, I've been tossing and turning, unable to sleep because of the direction Jennifer is heading. Underwater, the shark isn't affected by ocean current surface conditions. The great white is usually on a course that forces Alcyon to run parallel to the surface swells at a very slow speed, which gives the Windship very little stability. We are rocking 20 degrees from side to side, with me clinging to the bunk rails to keep from being tossed out onto the floor. Fortunately, being horizontal in the bunk is keeping me from getting seasick. With nothing else to do, my never inactive mind begins to wander. Normally, at this point, I might begin to daydream. Instead, it is with a warm feeling of satisfaction that I think about the present. My childhood fantasy has become a reality. Incredibly, I'm actually bunking in Captain Cousteau's sea cabin. About me, his personal effects lend his presence to the tiny room. Surprisingly, it was the childhood bully, my first real enemy, who lent me the focus to begin this quest. Though I never did win him over as a friend, he soon quit picking on me as I grew more physically fit. I also finally made the gold group at the beginning of my junior year. Without Godzilla's negative influence, I might not have been startled into seeing the potential of what I could achieve at such a young age. Physically, we can control an extraordinarily large part of our destiny. Our attitude really does affect the altitude we climb to in life. The quality of our existence is mostly determined by a broad range of vital components that make up each human being's basic characteristics. Through a closer relationship with God, we are armored against what I call the happiness stealers. When we love the Lord and want to live our lives correctly through Him, we are not easily lured by deceit. Guilt does not have the potential to become our constant companion, nor does evil have easy access to our lives. Our individual commitment to God protects our families and lends positive strength to all those around us. God has also given us active, inquisitive minds. Our brains are an astounding creation. It is impossible to fill a brain up. We can never learn too much. My only experience in seeing a normal person unable to effectively process more information, unable to go forward to higher thought plateaus, is when his brain is burned out al- on alcohol or short circuited by drugs. There are other indulgences that also limit the development of intelligence, such as obsessions that smother learning and creativity. Television is a serious example of this type of indulgence. The average North American youth has seen approximately 18,000 hours of television by the time he turns 19. I recently asked a medical doctor how much study time, including attending classes, it took him to become a physician. His answer? Between 18,000 to 20,000 hours. I find it really refreshing that most physicians I know found the leisure during their intensive studies to learn to play a musical instrument. A medical doctor experiences life from the perspective of helping other people, in many cases, actually saving their lives. Careers in medicine are fascinating, occupations that with great job satisfaction. Compare this to devoted television watchers who see on the average 22,000 people murdered by the time they leave their teens. It must leave some with a hardened attitude about the value of a human life. It is an unfortunate act that the number two killer of teenagers in the United States is other youths with guns or knives. Bored people, unless they sleep a lot, are cruel. It is no accident that boredom and cruelty are great preoccupations of our time. Renata Adler. Our bodies are a fundamental component of our existence. The average youth growing up has many potential paths in reference to physical development. Through proper eating, exercise, and daily habits, we can achieve extraordinarily physical conditioning. Our bodies are actually living vehicles that can hurl us into future adventures and opportunities. Simply put, we can basically choose a fuel efficient, highly tuned sports car with all terrain, four wheel drive capabilities kind of body, or we can opt for an out of tune clunker that will end up in the junkyard way before its time. The difference between the two is measured by our attitude and level of commitment. My physical training program began with a red push mower with lightning bolts painted on its blades and handles. I not only mowed our lawn, I went after the neighborhood's lawns, which quickly earned me the money to buy a better bicycle. I often rode the bicycle in the foothills, having fun while building leg strength and endurance. Exercising outside, I breathed plenty of fresh air and drank large amounts of water. Fresh air, clean water, and exercise are mandatory for keeping the inside of the body clean and vibrant. Lying on Captain Cousteau's bunk, I soon fall asleep, with happy childhood images of lawnmowers and bicycles wheeling through the roadways of my mind. At 2 a.m., the door swings open, and Anton stumbles noisily into the small cabin. Arrington, he whispers loudly into the darkness. Your turn for the watch. Groaning, I swing my feet out onto the carpeted floor. You're not going to like it out there, he says merrily, then disappears back out into the dark corridor to wake the rest of the watch. Alcyon is being forcefully thrown from side to side in a raging storm. While awkwardly pulling on my pants, I hear heavy rain pounding the deck of Alcyon. Opening a closet door, I grab heavy rain gear. Then, while pulling on the hood, I accidentally slam my head against the wall. Anton's right. This is not going to be a fun watch. Stepping out into the dark, narrow corridor, I make my way to the bridge, groggily bouncing off the walls along the way. At the bridge, I grab onto the handrail to orient myself. Theory Stern, our navigator, is at the helm. Heavy wind-driven rain beats against the bridge's plate glass windows as he peers out into the dark, wet night. You're not going to like it out there, he confides with a grin. I know, Anton already warned me, I answer, but why are you guys so happy about it? Well, you're out there in the wind and rain, being beat up by heavy seas, I'll be down in my nice warm bunk, getting cozy. Larry's grin gets bigger as he points at the sleeping bar of light on the radar. Looks like Jennifer is heading for a shallow reef. That should make your watch a bit more interesting. Glancing at the dim radar screen, I see a jagged trail of glowing red where the light bar paints the sharp edges of the coral reef. I'm not looking forward to this watch at all. As I zip up my foul weather jacket, snug the hood tighter, and step out into the blustery storm. Outside, the conditions are worse than anticipated, which is having a positive effect on Captain's spirits. He is testing a rechargeable flashlight as I stagger across the plunging deck. Man, oh man, what a great moment it is to be alive. He smacks me on the shoulder, sharing his youthful enthusiasm. We're about to track a massive shark who's probably in a very bad mood because of the tracking device. At night, in a small boat, through a storm, while cruising near a sharp-edged shallow reef. I reply flatly, with water dripping from my nose. Yeah, grins Captain. It sure can't get any better than that. Help me get the rope, I grumble. Grabbing the bow line of the Zodiac, Captain and I pull the rubber boat to the stern of the Alcyon, then I jump into it. Lower the outboard and give the pull start mechanism a solid jerk. Alcyon is a monohull vessel at the bow, but then the wind ship broadens amidst becoming a catamaran at the stern. Between the twin rear hulls is a flattened horizontal V, which is ideal for holding the bow of the Zodiac. Opening the throttle slightly, I nuzzle the bow of the Zodiac into the V, then open the throttle a quarter turn, and the added RPM gives the rubber boat the stability needed for Captain and Rocky to load our gear, then climb aboard. Decreasing the throttle, I allow the wind ship to pull away, then speed around the modest shelter of the stern of the Alcyon, right into a 20-knot wind. Rain mixed with sea spray beats against my face and runs down inside my foul weather gear. Rocky and Capkin have their backs to the rain and are sharing a chocolate bar. They are both in a much better mood than I. For the next 10 minutes, the little rubber boat beats against the blustery wind while bouncing over oncoming waves. I begin to grumble to myself as I feel underwater, my underwear getting soggy. Finally, we see the running lights of the little metal boats. Captain raises the radio and speaks in French to the other crew. As usual, I have no idea what they are saying since I don't speak French. But I know it is not good news because Captain turns and smiles at me. Not good, leers Captain. The shark is very close, but they don't know exactly how close because the choppy surface is breaking up the transmitter's signal. That means the shark is near the surface, interrupts Rocky. Well, ain't that nice, I reply. Ask them if they want us to stand off for a minute until they figure out exactly what the shark is doing. None, comes the immediate reply in French over the radio, followed by a string of more French words. They say no, smiles Captain. The rest you don't want to know. No point in making a slow approach, I answer, giving the throttle a sharp twist. I feel the floorboards lift dramatically as the Zodiac surges toward the other boat. I find myself carefully watching the surging whitewater. Each cresting wave seems to bear a remarkable resemblance to a lunging great white shark. Other than being in the water, I can't imagine a worse way to approach a toothy predator than in a little rubber boat. So I don't waste any time pulling rapidly alongside the metal boat, where we quickly transfer equipment and crews. As the other team rapidly departs, one of them yells, "Ciao, les pigeons." What did he yell? I asked Captain. It doesn't translate directly, but it basically means, "See you later, suckers," laughs Captain. The metal boat is tossing and turning as we slowly circle, trying to get the shark's depth and direction. Abruptly, I feel a strong inner sensation building at gut level. Captain glances at me in alarm, then quickly dodges to one side as I throw myself at the rail and heave my guts out. "Oh, man," complains Captain. "I hope you aren't going to do that throughout the whole watch." I glare at him while wiping spittle from my chin. I can't exactly help this, you know. Eating sometimes helps. Captain pulls a crushed paper sack from his rain jacket. "What's that?" I absolutely know he is going to gross me out. "Anchovy and cheese sandwich," beams Captain, waving the ripe-smelling fish which under my nose. The foul odor sends me hurling for the rail. "He made that sandwich knowing you were going to be seasick out here," confides Rocky. "He even rummaged around for the worst smelling cheese." "Yeah, but this cheese really complements the sharp bite of the anchovies," mumbles Captain, around another large mouthful. "Hey, doesn't that bother you, hanging your face over the side so close to the water?" he adds thoughtfully. "Yeah," echoes Rocky, "an 18-foot long great white could take your head clean off." Looking down in sudden panic at the dark water splashing instant inches from my face, I lurch backwards, temporarily forgetting about my raging stomach. Looking at Capkin as he takes another big bite, I miserably realize this is going to be a really long watch. Over the next 2 hours, I hit the rail 9 more times. At first, I tried standing upright at the rail while heaving, but that only resulted in my barfing on my foul weather jacket. Though terribly offended, Capkin helped me wash most of it off. Now cold, wet, and seasick, I no longer stand at the rail, but instead kneel there, almost hoping that the great white shark would end my misery. Rocky has the radio receiver lowered into the water and is listening intently when he abruptly yells, "She's near the surface and closing in fast." I jerk upright and peer into the darkness where Rocky is pointing. Suddenly, in the soft twilight of pre-dawn, I see a dorsal fin cutting through the black water. The great white shark surges toward us, propelling its head above the stormy surface. We see its dark orb staring lifelessly at us. Then the shark begins to submerge. "We're going to lose it," yells Rocky. He points at the submerging dorsal fin, where the transmitter is barely hanging by just one anchor. "Oh no," Captain voices his disappointment, while I'm oddly encouraged, thinking of returning to a warm, dry bed. 15 minutes later, the signal stops moving and begins to reflect at constant depth. The transmitter has fallen off the shark and is resting on the ocean bottom. Surprisingly, Rocky is ecstatic. "Isn't this bad news?" inquires Captain. "Not at all," grins Rocky, showing us his watch. "We just beat the world record for tracking a great white shark in an open boat by 6 hours. And I've got 3 more transmitters in my cabin. We can look forward to a lot more tracking. I grumble my enthusiasm, then turn the little metal boat back towards Alcyon. Later we will break our own record 2 more times, but for the moment, I have seldom felt more alive. True, our adventure has had its share of hardship and discomfort. Yet, as I head for the sunrise, I think how wonderful it is when adventure is woven into the fabric of life. At the back of the Zodiac, the outboard purrs with a swirl of water leaping from its spinning propeller. It makes me think of my red push mower and how the green grass used to fly in its wake from the spinning blades. Amazing, I think to myself, how some of the best memories of my life revolve around a simple yard tool. A capacity for childlike wonder carried into adult life typifies the creative person. Kaiser News.